Okay, welcome back to part 14 of the elementary logic series for first year BA LLB students from Mumbai University. Today's video, I'm going into a topic of distribution of terms in A, E, I, O prepositions. A, E, I, O is nothing but just characters which represent the universality or the particularity of propositions. So, this is one of the easiest topics which I'll cover. In traditional Aristotelian logic, categorical propositions are classified into four types. So, basically, categorical propositions are classified into four types: A, E, I, and O. Each type has specific rules for distribution of terms. Now, let us understand what is distribution. Distribution of a term means that a term is said to be distributed if it refers to all the members of the category it denotes. So, denotation we checked in the earlier video, the word denotation. We checked what a term is also in an earlier video. Distribution is nothing but a term where it refers to is or it includes all members of the category. So, for example, father represents all men who have a son or a daughter or have a children rather. So, it includes all. But if the term does not represent all members of the category, it is said to be undistributed. Otherwise, it is undistributed. So, once again, if the term refers to all the members of the category it denotes, then it is said to be distributed. Otherwise, it is undistributed. What is a subject term? Subject term is basically a noun or a noun phrase which talks about something and it is asserted of that thing. Predicate term. Predicate term is also a noun or a noun phrase that asserts something about the subject. So, in the subject term, it is basically that something is asserted, whereas in the predicate term, the assertion is about the subject itself. Subject and predicate also we have studied in the earlier videos. Now, let's come back to the main topic. Four types of categorical propositions. This also I've almost covered in the previous videos, but here I cover it in more depth. This is also very simple. One is A, E, I, and O. Now, A means A and E are basically universal. This is what you have to understand. A is affirmative, E is negative. So what does it mean when I say affirmative and when I say negative? So let us understand it by this one simple statement which we'll use for all of them. So S stands for subject and P stands for predicate. So we have this one statement called all S are P. We can substitute S with X and P with Y also, it doesn't matter. But right now we are just taking S and P because S stands for subject, P stands for predicate. So all S are P. In this particular statement, the subject part, the S part, sorry, there will be some background noise of crows and everything. I can't help it. It will come, you'll have to bear with it. Let's continue moving. All SRP means subject is distributed, means it refers, this S refers to all members of the S. It is talking about all members of the S. But for the P, it is talking about a particular. So it is undistributed. It refers only to some P, not necessarily all of them. So that is why the predicate is undistributed. So in this topic, we are just learning about whether something is distributed or undistributed. That is the distribution of the terms. Now, in universal negative, we say instead of saying all in a positive sense and the affirmative sense, we are saying in the negative sense. We are saying no SRP. So now no S is distributed again. It means it refers to all the members of S. No S means none of them in the S class. So it is distributed. Now RP. Now P would also be distributed because it refers to all P. No SRP, as no part of the P is included in the S. Take your time, go through this again. You will understand. I'm very sure about this. Particular, but you need to devote some time into understanding each part of it. Don't get stressed. It's very simple thing. I can promise that. Third is because I was also initially blank when I started. Of course, devoting some time to this and trying to understand what it is stating or what it is meaning, I could understand. So particular affirmative. Particular affirmative is represented by the I character or I alphabet, which states some SRP. This is again positive in the sense of positiveness. The subject is undistributed because it's talking about some members of the S. And in the P also, earlier we saw through the Venn diagram, some S, sorry, I'll have to redraw this. So it states some part of the S is in the P, but not all part of it. But some part is definitely there. So when we say some part, it means it is undistributed. For all parts or for a distribution, we need all of the members of that class to be included. Now in this, only some members of the class are included. So both S and P are undistributed. Next, particular negative. Here, when we say particular negative, we have to use some again. For particular, we have to use some. And when we say negative, we are saying are not. When we are saying affirmative, we are saying are or is. Okay, in this case, the subject is of course will be undistributed because we are saying some S. When we are talking about only few of certain members of that class of S, then it is undistributed because it refers to only some S. Predicate would be distributed because it says not P. Not P means not P or any part of that P, entire class of P. So it is distributed. It refers to all P because the assertion applies universally to P in relation to those S excluded. Okay, let's go through the summary chart. Proposition type, we'll cover all of them together. All S are P. Subject is distributed, predicate is undistributed. Now we'll be utilizing this later on. E, proposition E, no SRP. Proposition I, some SRP. And proposition O, some S are not P. So these are the keywords here. For the A and E, we have to use all and no. For I and O, the main keywords are and are not. And some, of course, some is common for both of them. Now, go through this distribution chart, summary chart. I'll move forward. Let's look at few examples. In a proposition, all lawyers are professionals. So all lawyers means all of them, which is distributed, are professionals. Professional means applies to all lawyers. So this is undistributed, as we checked here earlier. One is distributed, one is undistributed. Not all professionals are necessarily lawyers. That is what it's trying to say. Next. Okay. E proposition. No cats are dogs. Cats, of course, no means none. It is distributed. Applies to all the cats. And predicate, dogs, is also distributed because it applies to all the dogs. So the Venn diagram would be like this. No cats are dogs. They are both separate. Neither dogs are cats nor cats are dogs. So both have their, and it basically is covering the entire, all the members of this class called cat, all the members of the class called dogs. I proposition. Some students means undistributed, are athletes. So applies to only some athletes. As I explained in the Venn diagram, some students are athletes. So some students are athletes. So they are not talking about the entire class or entire all the members of that class students, nor all the members of the class athlete. So both are undistributed. In the O proposition, some cars, again undistributed. The moment you say some cars, it is undistributed. So are not electric vehicle. Now electric vehicle means excludes all electric vehicles for the specified car. So it is distributed. Now let's look at few of the question answers. Which terms are distributed in the proposition all S are P? So subject is distributed, predicate is undistributed. What does it mean for a term to be distributed? A term is distributed. This is a definition of the distribution of a term. So this may come in the exam. A term is distributed if it refers to all members of the category it denotes. Okay, a term is distributed if it refers to all members of the category it denotes. In an E proposition, are both terms distributed? Yes, both the subject and the predicates are distributed in an E proposition. E proposition says no S are P. So both are complete in their own respect. How is the predicate treated in an O proposition? An O proposition, the predicate is distributed as we saw from the summary chart. Alright, now let's look at few MCQs and try to answer. In an A proposition, the subject term, the first part, is distributed because it states all S. The A proposition starts with all S are P. So all S means all part of the S. Now in the Venn diagram, if I have to represent this, then I'll state like this. All S are part of P. Are part of P. So basically S is complete. That is includes all members of the class S. But for P, it does not. P is undistributed basically because it refers to a particular P. P could be much larger. Alright. Next is in the statement no SRP, the predicate term is, first tell me what is, which type of proposition is it? Is it A, E, I, O? I'll wait for 2 seconds. It is E proposition, E type proposition. So no SRP, the predicate term. So no SRP means nothing of S is in P nor nothing of P is in the S. So they're both completely independent and includes all members of the class. So in the state the predicate term is distributed because distribution means it includes all members of the class. Which proposition has both terms undistributed? So which term? I'll wait for you to answer. It is I proposition because I states some S are P. So they are both not complete. They do not represent all members of that class. The predicate in some S are not P is distributed. Now tell me which type of proposition is it? Is it A, E, I, O? I'll wait 2 seconds. It is O proposition. In O proposition it states some S are not P. So in this predicate, the subject is of course undistributed, but the predicate is distributed because it refers to all members of that class P. All right. In a proposition, the subject term is distributed. Okay. The predicate is distributed in an dash proposition. The predicate is distributed in which proposition? E proposition. Correct. A term is dash if it refers to all members of its category. So of course it's a property of distribution. So a term is distributed if it refers to all members of its category. In an I proposition, both the subject and the predicate are undistributed. The subject in some S are not P is undistributed. So in this topic, we are just learning about what is distribution of the terms A, E, I, O propositions. And this completes our topic of this portion. Thank you very much for listening throughout till the end. If it helped you, please do share as usual to your friends and let them also pass with flying colors. If, of course, if whatever I'm learning, I'm trying to teach. Although I'm not a teacher, I may be making mistakes. Do correct me if you find some mistakes in what I'm putting it online. But this is my effort in trying to share whatever knowledge little bit I have with you all. Thank you very much for staying there. See you in the next video. Bye bye.